What is going on, YouTube guys? This one is called Spidergate Cemetery. For you who do not know what the Spidergate Cemetery is, it's a cemetery located in Massachusetts. Now, I do believe there's two separate locations. I only know of the one that I went to. This story takes place back in 2013 with a former team I was on. A little bit of history on the cemetery itself. The name Spider Gates comes from the gates themselves, which are shaped like spider webs. Now, local stories or local quote-unquote folklore comes from the cemetery that there is a hanging tree. The tree itself, if you take a certain type of stone and you put it up to it, the devil himself will come out and speak to you. There's also rumors of children laughing and howling. Now, we did get permission to investigate this location that night. It was about an hour drive, and it took us a while to actually find the road and then find the location itself, as we had to park our vehicle off the side of the road, leading up to a dirt road and a little bit into the woods. It was a little difficult to find, but finally found it. I was very surprised as soon as we got there because the gates themselves were actually shaped like spider webs. Now, we began to do our EMF sweeps of the location. We were just basically looking for spikes or any type of EMF fields that possibly would be causing these sightings, if you will. The first thing I noticed was the quote-unquote hanging tree, and the supposedly also, I didn't mention, is called the River Styx. Now, there is a river that is in the back of the cemetery. No, I'm sorry, not a river. It's more of a stream. It's definitely not a river. So we made our way around the perimeter. Again, we found no EMF fields. We went all the way to the back, and we ended up sitting in the back, so we have a good visual of the entire graveyard at that point. This is about 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning. What we wanted to do was stay until the witching hour, which is 3 a.m. We waited around for about 25 minutes or about half an hour, and we weren't really getting anything. And all of a sudden, the temperature around all of us started dropping dramatically. You could actually feel it in the air. Now, mind you, this is mid-July, August, so it was about 65 degrees out even at night. We all had our thermometers, and I remember it reading 65 degrees. When we looked at it, all the thermometers were saying 40 degrees. At this point, I thought something might be trying to manifest itself, so what we did was we waited there for a little bit for the temperature to rise, which it did. It completely went quiet at that point. Within about 5-10 minutes, we all actually heard the sound of footsteps. It sounded like someone was walking around the graveyard, as you could hear the twigs snapping under their feet. At that point, we weren't using any type of flashlight, so our eyes did adjust to the darkness around us. And as we were looking, we did not see anything. I stood up at that point and made my way around where I believe the footsteps were coming from. And all of a sudden I heard coming from another side of a gravestone what sounded like a child laughing. I jumped around to the gravestone to find there was nothing there. I then stood up and looked at my team to motion for them to head my way, and I actually felt a tug on the back of my jacket. I spun around to see if there was anything there, and I didn't see anything. One of my investigators walked over and said that they believed they saw what looked like a shadow dashing off to the side gravestone. We then decided that we were going to do a sweep of the entire graveyard with a flashlight to see if somebody was messing with us. We didn't come up with anything at that point. So we all sat down around the spot that I actually felt something tug me, and we started doing an EVP session, asking the normal questions. Are you here? What's your name? Did you tug on my jacket? As soon as we asked the question, are you just playing with us? A pebble got thrown in between us. Now, this wasn't a very violent throw. It was more of a playful throw. And again, at the same time, we all heard what sounded like a child laugh and then run away around us. It actually sounded like it was playing that game Duck Duck Goose, and then it disappeared. The sound disappeared at that point. At this point, it's about 3:30 in the morning, and we were all getting really tired. As we were leaving the graveyard, me and another investigator were kind of falling behind, and we heard what sounded like two children playing at that point. We made our way back to the vehicle, and we went home. The next day, we ended up listening to the EVP, and a couple things that we got was when I asked the question, "Did you tug on my jacket?" We got the sound of a little girl saying, "Yes, that was me." And then another one we asked, "Were you running around us?" And then the very clear EVP of a little girl saying, "Tag, you're it." Now, a couple things I didn't mention was when we went to the graveyard, before we had left, we actually did a couple things. One, we did take a stone to the so-called hanging tree, and nothing happened. Now, the hanging tree is there. I want to remind everyone that the hanging tree is there. Could someone have hung themselves? Absolutely, but there is no records of anybody committing suicide in the cemetery. The so-called river Styx. It's not a river, it's actually just a stream. It's in the back of the graveyard itself. And the sound of laughing, obviously, that was something we did hear and we did experience for ourselves. Now, the cemetery itself is actually located in the woods, pretty far in the woods. If you Google map it, I'm sure you could find it, but the howling can obviously be coyotes because there's definitely a wildlife in the location. Guys, if you want to investigate this place, it's a very cool place. It's very historical. Most of the graves, I believe, date back to the 1800s. I could be wrong. Someone can correct me on that, but it's a very cool place to investigate. I would never go there alone. I would get permission. Was anything evil? I'm sure I get the question. No. Demons can pretend to be children, but that place wasn't. I didn't get that feeling from this location. It was a very peaceful place, and I believe what was there if there was a spirit there, then it was definitely a child playing with us. Very cool place to investigate. Get permission from the local police department. This is still going on a couple years, so I don't know if the landowner has changed, but that's something you guys should look into. Guys, I hope you like this one. Another little short story, but there's more to come and more to be edited. Happy huntings.